happy. I was doing a lot of work with Geelong in the past, and probably easier for a lot of you to listen to me and to ask me questions and to go through it. So just before I start, I wasn't really given a briefing as to sort of how much time or how much of an overview I should be doing. So somebody want to give me a bit of a guideline? How much time have we got? About 40 minutes? Or an hour?
An hour.
An hour? Okay, so there's an hour allocated. Hi, how you going? So, look, I'll run you through things. Just to sort of guide me, I put a few screens together that just remind me of certain things. But by all means, stop me, ask questions, and run through anything you'd like to know. I'm very, very happy to give you a bit of an overview. The board software runs in lots of different ways. You can use it to do lots of different things, and you will be using it to do lots of different things in your classroom and with your students. So what I'll do is I'll just run through some various things that you can do with it. Obviously, you have a menu of various different pens. You can move this toolbar between the top and the bottom. Obviously, if you're working with students, they can use it from the bottom part, but you as the adults might find it more comfortable to reach higher. It's up to you. You can do it whatever way you like. Obviously, if you're just using basic pens, you've got a lot of pen functionality that you can use. You've got different colours, different styles of pens that you can do across the boards. You have a pattern pen that you can arrange, and you might have seen in there that you can customise that pattern for the pen too. You can come up with various different patterns that you can include of your own, and you can design different patterns, different styles, and you can automate all those sorts of patterns. And you can go with, and you know, obviously there's lots of different ones that you can use. You can highlight text, so within the board you've got highlighters. You can go in here and choose the for the transparency of the pen. Just go in here, there's highlighters, so you can highlight over text, you can change the transparency of the colour, and you can do all sorts of things like that. And really, a lot of this is going to become a lot more apparent to you when you use it in a different mode that allows you to annotate over the top of things. Like, for example, if you've got websites that you can go to and you can move over the top and draw over the top. And I'll take you out to something like that in a minute. I don't know, actually let's just go there now. If I just go to control mode for a minute, shrink that down. I'll just launch a browser. Let's go to Google Chrome, and let's go in here. And that's all right. Let's just pop in here to. Actually, let me go back to this mode here and get my soft keyboard. It's a tool. Soft keyboard tool. Yeah, it's under the tools. Sorry, it's been a while since I've looked at them. Beg your pardon. Just to bring up some bits and pieces there. So soft keyboard, and now what I'm going to do is go back to that control mode again and just highlight this. And then I'll go to a site which is called, actually, just go back here a bit. I should have brought these up before. It's a bit hard to kind of walk in and get started straight away, but that's okay. Let me just type this. Obviously typing takes a little bit of getting used to. In fact, if I move that up there, it's a little bit easier to do things. Let me just go back here to backspace again. International, I-O-N-A-L dot reading. This is just a site which I'll show you that has a lot of activities, and you'll get an idea of how to annotate, how to use pens, how to do various things. I'll just pop into there. I misspelled, terrible spelling. International Reading.com. Let's try that again. Learn to read for kids. Sorry, as I said, normally if I had the chance I would have come in here and had some of these sites loaded up for you already, but we've jumped straight into it, but that's fine. We can talk and we can go through it to get some ideas. Hopefully your internet isn't all that slow. We'll get there sooner or later.
Is that Google service?
It's Google?
It's a Google service.
No, it's not a Google site. Sorry, it's Google. Good. Oh, it's doing a Google search. No, it shouldn't. It's saying it's taking me to the site. Let me just pop back in there again. Let me go enter again. Oh, it's Google.
Yes, Google.
Waiting for agents. Google. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, we brought it up browser. So the browser's Chrome, yeah, Google Chrome. So better use Internet Explorer. Is that what you're saying? Okay, thank you. Let me try and get back into here again, and we'll just highlight the. Just go back to that one. Copy. Just pop into here. Select all. And placed. Let's try again with this one. See how we go. Enter. Looking like it might load it up. I think we're getting stuck with the same thing. Sorry, I did go to that one at the offices here but earlier and it seemed to work fine. Let me just see if that loads again for a minute and we'll return just back to the presentation. And then at least, as I said, with the presentation you can have a few things running in the background and you can see how these things work. But this is just basically, you have a different pen in here, which is a brush pen as well for the brush strokes. So you can use those. You have a degree of thickness. So kind of like a pressure sensitive pen. There's a lot of different pens you can use for character work, for various different things. So that's on the pen tool. And as I said, do stop me as I'm going through here and running through various things. If you want me to run through some things or talk to things, by all means do that. Okay, let me just go back again to our soft keyboard. There we go. I don't remember exactly which one the soft keyboard's in. I'm a little out of practice with this, but you'll get more practice and you'll get more used to it. What I'm basically saying on this page here is with the text, you can certainly change various things. So this is a text tool, and of course what you can do is at any stage if you want to type or bring things up on the keyboard on the screen, you can do so. Our menu bar, just in here, text tool, pen. Sorry for the text. Okay, for the text, obviously you can change fonts of text. So I can highlight certain things. If you're used to various texts, you can set different texts that you can work with. Instead of Century Gothic, you can use Consolus, or you can use any of the ones that you're more familiar with. So the usual sorts of things you can do on text. With selecting text, you can rotate and resize. Just go back to our selection tool again. So with our selection tool, what we can do is for anything you draw on a screen, you can obviously move it around the screen, you can rotate it, you can resize anything that's in there. There's a handwriting recognition mode in here as well. And as you can see here, we'll just drop into the, it's under draw, and bring up the handwriting recognition. Hopefully under our menu options. Options, yes, it's set to English, so that's fine. And with there, what we can start to do is start to draw on here, so something like, again, handwriting recognition. Close out the font, so we go to. Okay. Okay, so it's got a pretty good mode for picking up the handwriting recognition. So if you want to be able to go from the text that you're putting onto the screen straight into something's handwriting, you're able to do that quite easily. Obviously, you've got the colours that you can work with. me just get out of there and just go back in here again, select here. Obviously, for various things, what we can do, you have a very strong selection of certain things that you can do that are in here as well, but as well as being able to change things like the colour. Okay, so basically changing colours is pretty easy, just bringing up the kind of colours that you want to go to, so it's going to blend into the background. And again, there are certain things that you can do in there, like revealing when you're doing those sorts of things to students. There's lots of ways in which you can do that, and we'll work on some of those before there. You can insert hyperlinks into documents again. You can, and that's something you may want to be able to do, to put hyperlinks through to various things. So, now, again, it's been a while since I've looked at this one here. Network format is under insert on this one. Insert hyperlink, there you go. So with that one, you can hyperlink to a document, and you've got a lot of various options that you can do in there. You can address a web page, so it's quite easy for you to set up a page for students where you have a bunch of hyperlinks in there and you can send them out to different parts of courses that you want them to go to. And speaking of that, let's just see if I've got this up. Yes, I have. So let me log in here and see if this runs a bit faster after I log in. It's waiting for the network. Let me try again in here. Oh, this is very slow. I got a few nods before and a few smiles. Is it usually fairly slow, your internet? Okay, so it goes out through a fairly slow connection, so it's maybe not worth showing you a lot of things in here, but I was kind of hoping to do this because this is where the power of the board really comes out, is to be able to highlight and put some things forward from the internet and bring them up onto your page. So let me just go in there and see if I can bring this up, because if I can, I think you'll find it worthwhile doing. So let me go again to bring up the keyboard. Go out to here, and let me go to the soft keyboard again. And again, if we go back into here and try that login.
No.
Let's go now. Do you hear it? Come on. No. Is it taking me anywhere? It doesn't look like it's doing much here. I'm sorry about this. It is logging me in. It is logging me in, but it's very, very slow. Let me try and preview lessons. It is going to something. As I said, it will become a lot easier if I can get to a couple of web pages and just show you the power of being able to overlay, annotate, click, do various things on the screen. I think you'll find that a little bit more powerful. Let's just keep persevering. Well, I'll keep carrying through with this one and just see how we go from here. Then go to the next page. So this is just talking about Texas. I'm sure that you're doing a lot of Chinese language work. There is Chinese language support in here, so you can change it over. There's character recognition, all sorts of things in the Chinese that you can work with. There's an image gallery as well. So up into here, when you click on the resources button, you've got a public gallery that you can work with a bunch of education templates. So in here, there's lots of different things divided into different themes that you can work your way through. So if you're doing even things like, English support, and you want things like the English letters, you can bring a fun alphabet out onto the screen, and you can play around with those. Let's just go to a new page so you can see some of these. So there's characters you can get in there, and like I said before, just going in here, let me go back to the selection tool, selecting things, and being able to resize them is a handy thing to be able to do. Get the keyboard out of the way, drag the screen up a little bit. Alright, again, if we go to selection, I can make them smaller or I can do whatever I need to, and as we said, we can draw around those things. And you have a mode, of course, back with your pen modes if you wanted to. You could get in here and you could get students to trace around characters, and you can do all those sorts of things. It's a very, very rich resource bank of things in here, and you can have various different activities. You can talk about food, you can drag up people onto the screen, you can have characters doing all sorts of things on screens, and there's a mode where you can play back as well. Like, for example, if we take a character and we again get into this mode again where we want to resize, and then, if you wanted to get a student to tell a story about somebody moving something or somewhere, you can play back a page and you can have everything played back to you. So any of the actions that you've done on the screen are automatically recorded for playback. So if you are doing things like getting students to do through character recognition or getting them to recognise all their symbols, and again, that's what I was trying to do in here. I was trying to show you some of the things in here. Let me see if I can quickly click through here. It's a real challenge when you've got such a slow internet connection, but I was going to bring up some teaching resources in here that are things like, text and handwriting support and things like that, and draw over the top of those. It would just make it a little bit easy for you to see what I'm talking about. With the internet doing what it's doing in here, I don't think that's going to be very successful. So anyway, let me just keep going. Let me just proceeding on with this one here. Just go back to the pages, just make sure I'm on the right page there. Yep, okay, so back in here again. This is the image gallery that we were talking about. I've got various images in there. You can, part of what I was saying here is you can group and order layers, so with various things, you're able to put things together. So if you were to make up a word out of these characters and you wanted to, I won't bother dragging any more out on the screen, but if you get the idea that we pop something down here, and now again, if we go to our selection tool, click on here, drag over a few of them, what you're able to do is group these characters together. So you can end up going group, select those, and they become part of a group. So what now I can do is, if I've got a word that I've dragged up on the screen, the whole word can be manipulated. Do you know what I mean? I can build up words for students teaching and character use and things like that if I want to, and I can go through those sorts of ideas. That page we've got there. Okay, so a few different teaching tools are up here that are quite useful. There's a move page feature, which just allows you to move a page around a screen so that you can talk, you can reveal things behind if you want to. There's a magnify or a screen shade. So what we can do is, if you were saying, for example, introducing a little bit of work to students a little bit at a time, and you wanted to talk about this topic, and just contain a bit of it, you can do that. I can start dragging down that way, or I can start dragging across this way to reveal more if I like. So you've got a screen shade, which can be used as quite a useful way of doing things. There's a magnifying tool, which can be brought up a number of different ways. You can actually use it under here. You can go for the magnifier, and then you can drag an area out for magnifying. So what I can do with that is start to move it around the screen to bring up and blow up various parts of the screen. There's another way to access the magnifier. What you can do with the magnifier is, we have a thing called a magic pen in here. And with the magic pen, if you draw a rectangle of a reasonable size there, it also turns into your magnifier. Okay? Which is a new way of getting the magnifier up. So that's a magnifier. The next one down there is screen capture. And what you might do, and again, this is handy if you've got, again, the sorts of things that would normally be coming up on a screen at this stage. Let me try back at this one again. This one eventually came up even though it was Google. So let me see, because it's Google, let me see if I can just log into this one as well and see if this does come up just a little bit faster, because it would be really nice to be able to show you some of the stuff that's on here, but maybe not. Maybe it's going to challenge me. I don't know, in your documents you may have some other teaching notes, I've got an old presentation in here which we might be able to open and at least give you some idea for screen capturing. Okay, it's going to do exactly the same thing. Alright, let's see if, I'll just click that again and see if it can bring up any of the teaching resources. And we'll just go back here again. Okay, so screen capture, let's just capture this part of the screen. So I can go in here and there's various things I can do. I can draw a rectangular region out and say, okay, can you imagine that I've got part of an internet site I'm interested in? Say a picture that's on Google or something, not on Google. Let's say a picture that's on one of the picture resources you've got and you wanted to drag out over that, and what you can do is once you've determined the size, you can capture that screen. What that has now done is it's inserted it, there's a number of different ways that you can do. You can actually insert it into the current page, you can add it to a new page or add it to the clipboard. So if you want to paste it into Word, you're able to paste it into Word. There's a lot of different things that you can do. So basically what it does is after it's done it, it's just captured the page and you can work with it. You can capture an irregular area if you want to too, a weird shaped area if you want to, and that's actually put that in there as well. So if we pop into your pages again, they're being put probably at the moment, they're dropping down to the end. Oh, okay, we'll cover that later. Okay, with the mode, it usually inserts it directly onto the screen. Oh, I see what it's done. This is giving me another page in here, is it? Page 8. Yeah, okay. So those, again, those images around there, that's that part that I captured before of that page. Okay? So you've got parts of the page that you can capture, that you can go with, and you can do whatever you need to do. Okay? Let's just delete that one. Delete that section. Okay, let's just return back to those pages again. That's the other section that was also captured. So again, with him, what I want to do with that section there is delete. And just let me just delete this section as well. Right, so we're back to our page again where I've highlighted again. So that was screen capture. You've seen before that I've been using the soft keyboard. So in here, under the tools, you've got the soft keyboard which you can bring up onto the screen. So, again, soft keyboard. Grid graphic line. Okay, just bear with me a minute. Tools, soft keyboard. It's coming up down the bottom here. It's because I've got a few things open. I think at the bottom it's been brought up and then it's okay. Mode, rotate mode. Into window mode. There it is. Okay, sorry about that. Just took a while to come up. Basically, we've got the soft keyboard on the screen, and you saw before that you can use that to go into various different parts of pages and various things you need to do. So let's just go back up here again. So that was talking about the soft keyboard, and just walking through there. You've got a calculator that you can bring up as well. So if you are doing any mathematical work, you've got the calculator. So obviously, you can bring that out on the screen. The other thing that can be quite handy, which I should have had up earlier, was a digital clock. This digital clock just allows us to pop that up into the corner somewhere and just keep an eye on the time, and keeping the time, so you can have that in your classroom. There's a number of modes of that. You can use that as something like a countdown timer if you want to. So if you're doing an activity with the students and you want to give them 1 minute to finish something, then you can basically do that, and you can do a start, and then basically have it counting down to 1 minute or whatever you set it up to be. So it's, you've got full controls for doing that. So this was what I showed you before. I was just talking, I was going to use this to come up with our character. Again, just a selection tool. Let's identify this character. Have him move around the screen, talk about various things. You might even want to annotate that by coming in here, and you can use some arrows, and you can point if you want to go forward that way, or you can choose a couple of arrowheads, talk about various things that you can work on. And then what you can do is, on this keyboard, you can end up, on the playback mode of the board, you can end up having your character moving around the screen, you can talk things. It's all just recording basically as you're going through. It's showing you the sorts of things that you can possibly do. Okay. I will keep coming and checking these just to see. No, it's just not going anywhere. I'm going to give up. As I said, the strength of this is when you're using it to capture things off the internet. But
can we freeze the screen for on the side?
can you can do that. Do you want to just sort of?
Can freeze the screen for a while.
Well, I can't use it if you freeze the screen. That's the only thing. If you know what I mean. I just wanted to see if I could get something on a web page. But sorry, bear with me a minute. It's going to make more sense to you if I can get something up on a web page. That.
Can you go to our school reading program internet webpage?
Please do, yeah. Why don't you do? Thank you for the suggestion.
www.readinga2z.
Right.
readinga-z.com.
Okay, yeah. Lady's bringing it up now. Let's see if it comes up on there.
Yeah. Because our school using that one, so maybe.
The other one, the reason I was going to show you the other one, as I said, it's got some handwriting recognition templates.
Login, I should give you all my
Reading A to Z, that's coming up.
There's a book and an audio file I would like to use with the internet.
Yeah, let's do that. That's fine. I'm happy to go there. So, okay, so let's do that. Let's pop into here. As I said, it makes a lot more sense to you if you're popping in there and doing this. So,
login ID.
well, I can go free samples maybe.
I think you better just use that.
Right, login ID. Remember login?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Then we have go to resources.
Resources? Yep. Fantastic.
Books, level books.
Level books.
And then we have all the level books.
Right, so you got, yep, that's a list of level books. So policy now, reading, Excel, showing 53 books. Okay, up we go.
If you click this one.
Healthy Monster.
Yeah.
It's got anything like, yep, up we go. Fantastic.
We have this one is PDF. Rescues.
Those kids. Okay, good. That's good. Good practice. As I said, this is where, as I said, it becomes a really useful sort of resource to do.
And then we have this also. Sorry again.
This is
and the level book again. Sorry.
level books. That's all right.
Go to J again.
Okay.
And then.
Alright. Got it.
Okay, now we have another book over here, and then this is what I use for listen ebook.
Listen?
And then
Yep.
read the ebook.
Okay.
That is most the function that we use.
What I was
So
after,
what
there's
kind of-
projectable books, I know. The other one I had a lot of little things where you drag characters to fill a gap, and it does all sorts of things like that. So that's why I actually wanted to go to it, but it's just, as you say, it's just not going anywhere. So thank you for that. All I was after, I saw it back on the other one that you showed me a minute ago. If I just go back a few times, it had some activities or something with it, so maybe it's got that one in there. More J books, Carlos goes. I thought I saw under resources, books, level books, decodable books. Right, let me go to level books again. I know the one that you said before was the J1, level J, Brazil, it was the Creature Constitution, I think. And I think down underneath it, it had some things like some activity books. And that's what I wanted to show. Reading, book, comprehension quiz. No, okay, hasn't got it. Look, let me go back to here again.
That's comprehension.
That's all right, no problem. What I wanted to do was just give you an annotation mode here, because now we're annotating over things. So at least I can show you at this stage that now it's when it comes. Oops, sorry. Now it comes into its own when you're starting to. Why am I not going to?